In the shadow of history's most famous surrender, a defiant figure stood firm against a general who refused to bend, refused to yield, and challenged the fate of a lost cause. This is the story you've never heard. James Longstreet's last stand at Appomattox. While the world remembers Lee's surrender and Grant's generosity, Longstreet's bold resistance and unyielding loyalty reveal a different truth, one of courage, conviction, and a spirit that would not break. Stay with us as we uncover the hidden moments, the silent battles, and the unforgettable words that changed everything. This is more than history, it's a reckoning. Don't miss a single second. History often recalls Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox as Ulysses S. Grant's moment of magnanimity and victory. Yet overshadowed in the background stood James Longstreet, Lee's most reliable general who refused to yield. Longstreet didn't just decline to surrender, he openly resisted it. This is the seldom-told tale of a commander protecting supply wagons while hope waned, silencing officers pleading to raise the white flag, and boldly confronting Custer's arrogance with the words, "I'd never surrender to Sheridan." Lee's famous declaration, "I would rather die 1,000 deaths," was fueled by Longstreet's unwavering resolve. Even as the Army of Northern Virginia disintegrated, Longstreet prepared a last defensive stand, one that never came to pass. And when Grant joked about their pre-war card games, Longstreet kept silent, fully aware of the deeper reality. This marked not just the Confederacy's end, but the demise of a brotherhood. Why did Lee call him my old warhorse during their farewell? Why did soldiers cheer for a surrender they vowed to resist? And why has history obscured Longstreet's part in the South's final hours? The answers are found in a quiet apple orchard, a captured supply train, and a general who chose loyalty over glory. But before we explore this, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to support our growing community. As the Army of Northern Virginia retreated from Richmond, Lee and Longstreet rode together frequently. Lee often sought Longstreet's counsel along their journey. At one stop, they shared a meal with a roadside family who spoke confidently of victory. Longstreet remained silent, but Lee responded with kindness. "Whatever happens, know this. No men ever fought better than those who stood beside me." By April 4th, the Army reached Amelia Courthouse, expecting supplies, but found none. Scouts were dispatched to gather provisions from nearby farms. This delay cost them valuable time and allowed Union forces under Grant to close in from parallel routes. Longstreet positioned divisions under Charles Field and Cadmus Wilcox to shield the supply wagons during the food collection. Tragically, this lost time became disastrous as Union troops cut off Lee's route to Jetersville, forcing Longstreet's units to veer north toward Farmville. At Rice's Station, Longstreet arranged seasoned troops in defensive lines while awaiting reinforcements from Richard Ewell. April 6th passed with no word from Ewell as Lee grew increasingly anxious. Finally, news arrived. Ewell's forces had been ambushed at Sailor's Creek. Lee rode out with William Mahone's division to assess the scene. From a high bluff, he watched Confederate soldiers flee in defeat, despairingly asking Mahone, "My God, has the army dissolved?" The clash ended with Generals Ewell, Kershaw, and Lee's own son Custis captured. That night, Longstreet withdrew his troops from Rice's Station, crossing the Appomattox River again toward Farmville. Soon after, Brigadier General William Pendleton and others approached Longstreet, urging him to recommend surrender to Lee. Longstreet refused emphatically. He vowed never to oppose Lee and still believed their smaller force could overcome the enemy if given the chance. Until that conviction faltered, surrender was not an option. Later that evening, as Longstreet and Lee rested near their lines, a courier brought a letter from Grant demanding surrender. The letter stated, "The results of the past week must convince you of the futility of further resistance by the Army of Northern Virginia." After reading it, Lee handed the letter to Longstreet. Having been friends with Grant prior to the war, Longstreet skimmed the letter, then returned it with a firm response. "Not yet." Lee wrote his own reply that night, rejecting Grant's claim and asking for surrender terms just in case it proved necessary. Sealing the letter without sharing it, he sent it back by courier. Longstreet recalled a poignant moment during their retreat that illustrated Lee's exhaustion. "One dark evening, we stopped at an abandoned fire. General Lee leaned against a tree and fell into such a deep sleep I feared he had died. The stress allowed him no rest, though his body desperately needed it. The army pressed toward Lynchburg but halted east of Appomattox Courthouse on April 8th. Lee hoped to resupply at Appomattox Station, only to discover Federal cavalry under Custer had seized their supplies. Union infantry closed in, with Grant sending another letter urging surrender. Lee agreed to meet Grant at 10 a.m., April 9th, still hoping to break through Union lines. Believing only cavalry blocked their path ahead, he ordered John B. Gordon's corps to attack at dawn. Gordon's men initially pushed back Union cavalry, but soon faced infantry reinforcements that sealed their defeat. Upon learning this, Lee declared bitterly, "Then there is nothing left but to go see General Grant. I would rather die 1,000 deaths." Accounts vary about Custer boldly riding into Confederate lines under a truce flag to confront Longstreet. Allegedly, Custer demanded, in Sheridan's name, "I demand the unconditional surrender of this army." Longstreet remained silent until Custer repeated himself, then snapped back, "I am not the commander. If I were, I'd never surrender to Sheridan." After escorting Custer out under truce conditions, Longstreet issued one last order. He told Porter Alexander to form a final battle line with Mahone's and Wilcox's divisions, the Army's last command before collapse. That morning, Longstreet met Confederate and Union officers at Appomattox Courthouse. Later, he returned and found Lee in a small apple orchard. They spoke briefly. Lee feared Grant would demand harsh terms, but Longstreet assured him Grant would be fair. As Lee turned to go, Longstreet added, "General, if terms are harsh, come back and let us fight it out." This marked their final conversation as commander and lieutenant. That day, Lee surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia to Grant at Wilmer McLean's house. Under surrender terms, Confederate soldiers handed over arms and received paroles to return home. After signing, Lee rode back to his men. Though many cheered, numerous soldiers vowed to continue fighting upon hearing the news. Longstreet, Gordon, and Pendleton later entered the courthouse as commissioners appointed by Lee. When Grant arrived at McLean's house, he noticed Longstreet nearby. Dismounting, Grant clasped Longstreet's hands and embraced him. The Union general joked, "Pete, let's have another brag game to remember those pleasant old days." Their encounter was brief, with Longstreet soon aiding parole arrangements. On the night of April 11th, Lee and Longstreet shared their final camp together. The next morning, as Lee prepared for Richmond, he met Longstreet once more. The embrace was warm before Lee told Captain Tom Gorey, "Captain, I am placing my old warhorse under your care. Look after him well." With that, Lee rode away, never to see Longstreet again. Later that day, Longstreet departed for Texas, contemplating a civilian life unknown for 27 years. Yet as Longstreet left Appomattox, he carried more than parole papers. He carried questions unanswered. Why did Lee's final act of entrusting his warhorse to a junior officer feel like mourning for their cause? Why did Grant joke about card games with a man who refused to surrender only days before? History made Longstreet a footnote, blaming him for Gettysburg but ignoring his defiance at Appomattox. But history doesn't reveal this. Longstreet's last battle line was not meant to fight. It was a message to Grant and future generations that the Southern spirit was unbroken. It bent beneath starving men and a general choosing mercy over myth. Lee's surrender began America's reunion, but Longstreet's story marked a different start. A reckoning with loyalty, legacy, and why heroes are remembered as statues rather than broken men quietly whispering, "Not yet," to fate. Here's something to ponder. When the final campfire died at Appomattox, did Longstreet truly believe Texas could erase 27 years of war? Or was he already plotting his next fight not with swords, but with history itself? Share your thoughts below, because this isn't the end. It's only a crack in the monument. As the final embers of Appomattox faded, one question lingers. Was James Longstreet's defiance the last breath of a shattered cause, or the first chapter of a new battle, one fought not on fields, but in the pages of history? Did he truly believe Texas could rewrite nearly 3 decades of war, or was he preparing for a different kind of fight altogether? The story doesn't end here, it's only just begun. What do you think Longstreet's legacy really means? Share your thoughts below, because some battles are fought long after the guns fall silent.